Which is happy Monday. I want to start off today by saying a super huge thank you to two of my new patrons. So thank you very much to Queen Quartz Crystal. And I don't know if you want me to use your real name. I'm using your screen name. So yes, thank you. Thank you so much for subscribing to my Patreon, as well as Sydney, who just is amazing and wonderful and also subscribed. Both of them are great. All of my patrons are great. Thank you guys so much for subscribing to my Patreon. I just appreciate all of you guys so much. Like, I'm so thankful. So thank you everybody who did that. And today we have a very cool topic. Today we're going to be talking all about something that actually happened last night. I got the dates wrong because I just didn't look at it properly, so that's my fault. So sorry, this is a little bit late, but yeah, I actually wanted to talk about Krampus and Krampusnacht. So I have any German watchers, I'm sorry for all of the pronunciations in advance. I'm trying my best. But I thought this was like a fun kind of witchy adjacent topic to talk about when it comes to Yule. I know a lot of people in my area, at least, there's a pretty high German population. So there was a Krampus night or Krampus walk thing last night at one of my favorite like kind of witchy stores. So it's actually a really cool store. So that was really cool. And I enjoyed seeing the pictures from that, definitely. But basically, Krampusnacht is observed on the evening of December 5th prior to St. Nicholas' feast day, which is today, December 6th. And in the medieval times, Christians often observe these like specific feast days throughout the year. So like these days we kind of see like just like Christmas and Easter as like some of the bigger Christian holidays. But back in those days when religion like really was such an important part of like daily life, especially for medieval Christians, medieval people, though not all medieval people. Do you understand what I'm saying? You know what I mean. Basically, they observed certain feast days throughout the year, and December 6th was Saint Nicholas of Myra, who was canonized after his death. But he is more commonly known as the figure who influenced the modern interpretation of Santa Claus. So I'm going to try to do a whole little video about him. I think it's a very interesting story. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a different video. But yes, so today is St. Nicholas feast day, yes. Anyways, more about like Santa Claus and St. Nicholas later this month. But today I want to talk about the figure of Krampus. So Krampus is kind of seen as this humanoid goat figure. So it's like a kind of he kind of like walks on two back legs that are like goat-like, and he has like big horns, and he's often like seen with like a really long tongue, and he's supposed to be like a really scary figure, right? He's often seen as kind of like this representation of like the devil. You know, it's kind of that image, right, of this kind of demonic thing. But also, I just think he looks like the horned god, like personally, a little bit, like an aspect of it. Though it is a completely different figure. I'm not saying that Krampus is the horned god. That's not what I'm saying. I just think that there are some similarities between his appearance and, yeah, he has big old horns. Like covered in fur, he's often depicted like wearing chains or carrying or shaking chains, as well as having baskets full of birch switches. So that is something like a thin piece of wood that is used for like punishing children. So he'll like walk around with that, and his whole purpose is to kind of like scare away or like, you know, scare naughty children into being good around Christmas time. There is a Austrian tradition called Krampuslauf, and I'm sure other Germanic countries have this as well. People like dressed up like Krampus, kind of that like goat, half demon, half goat figure, and it tells a story about how he punishes children who have misbehaved throughout the year. So instead of Santa Claus leaving a lump of coal, you are kind of like punished and whipped by Krampus and his like horde of like gremlins and stuff like that. So some people do leave schnapps as an offering to appease Krampus, so that he'll leave your home in peace. So, you know, that could be like a cool tradition that you start for yourself, maybe to connect with ancestors if you do have them from kind of the Alpine region of like Western Europe and like Germany, Austria, that area. I know that in kind of like that Germanic area of the world, when Catholicism was rising and taking over pagan beliefs, they came in contact with this figure called the Percht, Percht. I am sorry, I know I'm not saying that right, but that's basically like that humanoid goat figure, which is another like origin of the Krampus figure. So it is rooted in kind of like this paganism. And he was seen as that figure that does punish children for being bad around winter time, which makes sense. I feel like, you know, you have to be inside in close quarters with children. So what do you do to get them to behave? Threaten them with a terrible monster, obviously. No, but I mean, I understand maybe from a medieval parent's point of view, right? But as Catholicism kind of swept through Europe, you really see that change of kind of this like negative spirit into like the devil proper. So I think that's really interesting. And I think the most interesting thing is kind of this transformation of Krampus, like this adoption of this Krampus figure into kind of like Christian teachings. There was a play, I believe is called Parktenlaufen. I am, again, not sure that's the pronunciation, and I'm not sure that's the actual term. It might have a different term depending on where you are in the world. But basically that is this kind of, this tale. I wasn't able to like delve into as much research as I wanted to on this. Like it just got a little bit, like whenever I research anything like related to Christianity, it can be a little bit triggering. So I had to stop. And that's on me. You know, I should have probably gone forward, but I didn't, because it was bad for my mental health. But from the gist that I get from about this play is that it is like kind of a retelling of the story of the Garden of Eden. Saint Nicholas is there talking about morals and stuff, and Krampus kind of serves as that like devil, like the devil on the shoulder character who's full of temptation and all of that stuff. So again, if you are interested in that, definitely look into it further. I just couldn't do it for personal reasons. I know that's like probably not a great excuse, but it is what it is. So I would love to hear if you guys celebrated a Krampusnacht last night, if you guys are going to in the future, and I don't know, just any cool fun facts that you have about Krampus or maybe Germanic Yuletide traditions would be super cool to talk about in the comments, and I'll see you guys later.